factors.
Cash.
Well, I guess a lot of things are different about this as opposed to a lot of my other projects are more like, how can you say, the band that's on the record is the same band that plays, and it's kind of more, I guess, more of a rock aesthetic. We write the music in a room kind of together, or one person will bring in an idea, and sometimes it can be more of a collective thing. This thing I wrote by myself, pretty much all the music. And then I sent the music out to other producers and programmers and guest vocalists, things like that. So it was put together in kind of a different way for me. That's one difference. Other difference being, obviously the music doesn't sound like any other project that I've done, which was by design. I wanted it to didn't want it to sound like other stuff that I had done. So I chose people accordingly to that. I chose people kind of from, the electronic music world and hip hop world for the most part, because that's the kind of sound I wanted. And the touring band is also different. It's not it changes all the time. People are busy. They're kind of like people that I have handpicked to come out on tour with me, but they also can change. You know, like maybe the next tour there'll be some different people. So it's a different in a lot of ways. I learned most from the beat makers, the programmers, because they have a kind of one way. They all work kind of the same way. That's alone on a computer, and that's not the normally with a lot of my other projects. It's not the way I work.
Would you like to work that way?
It's nice, actually. It's nice. But there's some technical parts of it that I didn't know very much about. And these guys taught me a lot about how to record that way, how to make it understood by other musicians, because you can't just press record and have them make sense of it. There's a way you have to do it that's precise and professional and like I said, it's real technical stuff, but I am not good at that stuff. So I had to learn how to, I guess it's the same way, a classical musician would write things down on paper. It's got to be notated in a real clear way, or no one's going to understand it. You can have any crazy idea you want, but if you can't communicate it, it doesn't mean shit.
Those haunted rhymes are keeping the time, but they'll never get through to me. It's my party, but I'm waiting for someone to start it.
Interested in what I'm doing, to have lots of different outlets and to work fast
And to switch between them.
and to go between them, not to stick with one too long. It's the only way that I can make my music make sense to me. Does that make sense?
Yes, a bit.
If I just had one band and threw all of my ideas into one band, to me that band would sound like shit. It would sound like a mess, a big mess.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't mean anything to me.
And it wouldn't be clear to the audience what you're doing.
Hell no. Or maybe it would, but
Well,
I don't care. It's got to make sense to me. And if it makes sense to me, then maybe I can present it clearly to others. And my way of doing it is creating a little little frames for each project. It's like, you know, putting a frame around a painting. Unless I have the frame, I don't know what to paint. Unless I have rules, like with Peeping Tom, I want it to have a certain sound. I want it to be pretty much song format only. I don't want the songs to be, you know, I want them to be linear. I want them to follow a line and have a point and be concise. Start and end where they should. For Fantomas, that's a whole nother set of rules. Different frame.
If I gave you my love, I'll tell Newton what I'd do. I'd expect a whole lot of love out of you. You got to be good to me. I'm gonna be good. There's a whole lot of things you and I gotta
I also read a quote of yours saying, "I wouldn't mind giving up my career to create an absolute masterpiece."
Did I say that?
Yes, you did. For that, you would be prepared to sacrifice everything. So, are you suggesting you haven't made your masterpiece yet?
No, probably not. But, you know, I don't know if I would know if I did. It's a constant kind of searching for me.
So, you wouldn't know how your masterpiece would sound.
And if I did, I'd probably just make it. You know what I mean? I would just do it. You know, if you look at all these bands and crazy things that I've been involved with, you know, for all these years, in a way, it's all leading to something. It's all part of one thing.
To what is it leading?
Don't know. If I knew, maybe I wouldn't go through this process. It's life, is what it is. We're always learning and we're always growing, and you can't. There's no shortcut. There's no way to cheat.
And maybe your masterpiece, what it would be now, is
maybe. Well, for the moment, this feels great.
different from what it would be
different.
over 10 years.
10 years, it'll feel different. Maybe it's a little series of finding new and exciting things.
But is there a direction you want to go? I read, well, maybe you would like to do more with electronic stuff.
Yeah, I think I will do that, but I don't think I'll ever do that exclusively. I think that for me, I have to have a balance of different things going on at all times. You know, I'm sure. For instance, right after this tour, I go out for 10 days with John Zorn, and that's going to feel really great because it's going to be because it's going to be musically, creatively, everything, and that I get a big stimulation out of.
Yeah.
So I want to basically just keep continuing, trying to find a nice balance.
And suppose you would ever run out of musical styles, can you see yourself switching to another form of art, like movie? You already did that.
Yeah. Hard to say. Probably not.
What?
Well, I don't know. I only was in a movie once, only acted once. So I mean, there's a ton more to learn there, obviously. But I don't feel like that's not why I'm here on this earth to do that. That's something fun and, something to try. And me, I can get a computer, get a microphone, spend a few hours and be totally happy. Making a movie, talking about 10 years of work and in a way, each one is a decade of your life. I hope it can get easier, because my limited experience working with the director that I did, I mean, whew, my hat goes off to him, because it took him 12 years to get the movie made. Finally got it made, and then, he had to try and start all over again. He had to sell it. He basically had a movie in his pocket, and, no outlet for it. So in some way, I think it's a more trying process, for a filmmaker. So yeah, I'll stick to music. Thank you.
Is making the music for you more important than the end result?
Yeah, well, that's why I do it. I'm in love with the process of making it, not what happens afterwards. What happens afterwards is great, but I try not to let myself forget where it comes from and what I really love about it. I mean, writing is what it's about. The process, the creative process is what it's about. All the real work is done before you go to the studio, before you go on tour, before you're getting your picture taken. And that's what keeps me coming back.
So, but do you hate doing interviews? Because
I'm not crazy about it, but
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. It's part of it, and especially with a band like this, there's seems to be a lot of interest, and so I want people to hear it. I want people to like it, and I'm doing my best to put it out there in front of people and not hide it.
Now rolling up and smoking again. Now line me up and start it again. Now fix it up and shoot it again. I can't believe I did it again.
And does it bother you that suddenly there's a lot of interest in Peeping Tom and more than with, for example, Tomahawk or Fantomas?
No, any interest is great, even negative interest, or
Oh.
if people are talking about what you're doing in a positive light or a negative light, I think it's good, because you're making them think somehow. I mean, I don't think it's all entertainment necessarily, but there's no right and wrong in it. You either like it or you don't. Music journalism, and actually, art criticism in general is It's a subjective thing. Of course, there's no right or wrong. You know, just because Britney Spears sells a certain amount of records doesn't mean that her stuff is any more valid than some guy in his basement who doesn't have a recording contract.
Good point.
There you go.
Uh-huh. Okay, I think
Was that?
time is up. I'll
Yeah.
check.
Is that okay? Are you?
Yes, it's okay.
I mean, is it okay for you? Did you get
Yes,
enough?
yes.
Okay.
Now